In this video, we bring you about a gajillion ways to style your sugar push for West Coast swing. What's up, gang? Brian B.
Miss Megan.
And Miss Emily.
And we are going to co-bring you a bunch of different ways to style your West Coast swing. So Emily's going to man the camera for a little bit. We're going to bring her back in as a guest. Here's how this is going to work. Megan and I are going to walk you through a way to think about where and how to style your sugar push, right? We're going to give you a map of some things that you can do, right? And we're going to walk you through some stuff. Then we're going to bring Emily in, and Emily's just going to go to town and show you some different options that she does. And then the goal is for us to be interactive, and you can see how it fits into our plan. Cool? Here we go. All right. So the way I want to think about this is we have 6 beats in a sugar push, right? They're 2-beat increments. So we have our first 2-beat increment, the walk-walk. So that's one area that we can tinker with. The second area is the 3 and 4, and the final area is the 5 and 6. So the first thing I want you to think about, instead of sugar push styling, I want you to think about styling within little segments of 2-beat segments. That's a good way to break things down. That way you can stay fundamental to your pattern as the follower or the leader, and you can add some different things. So first thing to think about, we got to think about what can we do on the 1, 2, what can we do the 3 and 4, and what can we do in the 5 and 6? Because if you did it all at the same time, it might work out brilliant. It might look like it might look a mess.
Right there.
Yes. So I'm going to give you 4 easy things to start, and then we're going to talk about 2 other different ways to approach it. Like I said, once you add all these together, you're going to have about 1 million. We can do 4 different things just to start. You can raise, you can lower, you can syncopate, and you can remove, right? So we can raise, lower, syncopate, and remove. So what would that look like? If we did the 1, 2, and we raised, right? Instead of staying level, very basic, fundamental, right? Maybe there's something in the music where we raise 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, right? We could also lower. Maybe there's something in the music that causes us to lower, right? We could syncopate into some sort of a hitch. And as we walked through this and talked through this as a group, there's not so much that you can remove on the 1, 2, provided you're on the correct foot, because you have to do the walk to get to the left foot. So not all of these will be applicable to each, right? And when we bring Emily in, she's going to add some applicable ones. I didn't task her with giving you one that really looked terrible, because it's impossible for Miss Emily. So first things first, we want to raise. We can raise like on the ball of the foot for 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, right? So let's do that 2 more times. We can raise 2, 3, and 4, right? We can lower 2, 3, and 4. Try that again. We lower 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So when we're thinking about even raising and lowering, I want you to think about the foot you're coming from, not the foot you're going to, meaning we're both anchored, me back on my right foot, Megan back on her left. If we're thinking about raising, we can't necessarily raise onto that foot. We first have to think about the foot we're on, right, and add a little pressure. So from that foot, as we're anchoring 5 and 6, we can use that foot to push off to raise 3 and 4, 5 and 6. Let's do that again. Raise off 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. What if we lowered, right? Same thing with lowering. You don't just want to just step into a hole, right? We're going to use the standing foot to lower ourselves in 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. Let's do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So far, so good. This should be interactive. If you have any questions like why does this look that way or why does that look that way, ask me. Cool? Then, so we raise, lower, syncopate. We did a whole video on the hitch. We could talk for 20 minutes on the hitch. But a syncopation, instead of dancing 1, 2, 1, 2, we know we need to land on this foot for 2 to preserve the basic pattern, but we want to syncopate. So if we stretch back on the 1, then we're going to have to catch up on the and land on the 2. So that's going to create a style and a feel. So if we did that together, we'd have hitch 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. So let's cover that real quick, because that's a difficult one together. So leaders, what I'm going to do is I'm going to feel like I'm moving my hips back. So we're creating an increased connection on 1. Then I'm going to have to be really quick with my foot as the leader to go and 2. Cool? So my body is almost moving as if it would dance a 1-2, but I'm delaying the footwork. 1, my body is in motion, I catch and 2, right? So that alone, as we do that by itself, hitch, ball, step. Or if we count it in numbers, we go 1 and 2. Now it's a little bit more difficult from the follower's perspective because leaders, I'm moving back, which is kind of intuitive, but the follower is not. So what do you think about from the follower when you hitch?
I think, so first of all, it actually does have to do with some connection. So when I think about going back, I'm going to, again, do this with my hips, but I'm also connecting away. Not enough that it messes a lot with the connection, because that's not good. But I'm going to connect away so that I can then come back to my foot.
And then give them the 2 different options we have for the feet.
Yes, so, sorry.
I'm going to stand close. I'm going to stand close.
All right, so we have 1, and you can step right where your foot was and then go 2. So 1 and 2, or you can move that foot 1 and 2 to cover some more distance if you need it.
Cool beans? Question?
Does the leader initiate the hitch movement?
The question is, and I'm going to do a better job because I slept on a couple questions on a video earlier this week. Does the leader initiate the hitch action? Yes and no. Yes and no. So if we are connected and my follower is connected, she will be able to feel my delay. If you think about this, right? If we dance a sugar push, right? We go 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2. Nothing moved in that hand, nothing moved in my body. Megan didn't move either, right? So let's say we go 5 and 6, and I start to move back. Well, as I'm starting to move back in the hitch, the hand's staying in the same place. If we're connected, the follower feels it, right? So if Megan just did this, she's not good enough to hitch. She just came out of beginner class, and I, as the leader, want to dance my own styling. Megan's going to be fundamental. I'm going to dance my hitch by myself, right, without my follower. Cool? Conversely, I'm the beginner, and I'm just dancing my basic sugar push. Basic sugar push, and Megan's already hitching, making me feel like I know what I'm doing. Does that make sense? So it can be initiated for sure, right? And this is my theory, the better I am within my own body, through my feet and my legs and my own movement or the follower's movement, the more that translates to the connection and the more it makes it lead and followable. But if Megan doesn't possess that ability in her body, there's nothing that I'm going to magically do to make her weight ball change on time. But as we get that ability within our own bodies, you'll start to feel it through the connection. So from an intermediate and above level dancer, it is for sure a lead. It can very much be a lead thing. It can be very,
Lead, yes.
it can be led. I mean, it can be led over and over between us. Cool? Any other questions? Awesome, I love that. So we have been able to raise, lower, syncopate. There's really nothing to remove, right? So let's look at the 3 and 4. What happened if we raise on the 3 and 4? 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you see this all the time in this slow music. We have this 3 and 4. And this gets into almost like a musicality thing too. There's accents in the music. So very simply, up to the ball of my feet, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. Real simple, right? So if we do this together, 1, 2. And again, I'm using the standing leg. I'm preempting this to pick up for 3 and then what goes up must come down, anchor, step, right? So that's raising. Now, we can lower right into that. 1, 2, we can drop into this, anchor, step, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you're real subtle and careful, you can start to see us, and this kind of wraps back around the question of is it lead and followable? And when you watch those really amazing dancers at a high level, it seems magical what they can do. They are sensing it and feeling it, right? And so if I'm going to lower, I have to first create a little bit of an up feeling, right? So a little bit of an up feeling, and you can see Megan reacting to my own body through my connection, right? Which gives me something to drop into, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. That's lowering, right? Raise, lower. Now, can we syncopate? How do we syncopate? What's our basic timing? 3 and. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. What if we did and 3? 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6. We create a different look, and 3, 4, 5. Megan's already doing, she can't help herself. She's already removing. That's the next one, Miss Megan. Yeah, so.
I syncopated, it was just to the side.
You did syncopate. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm rushing the 3 and I'm dancing 1, 2, and. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that becomes a different style. It's going to create a different look. That's raise, lower, syncopate, and then Megan's favorite, the remove. And I'm going to spin this around here so you can see what she's removing. So normally we'd go 1, 2, 3, and, right? We'd go triple. But we're going to remove the triple. 1, 2, a triple step, anchor, step. So we've removed the tri and the pull, and we only left the step. We've done a lot of videos this week. 1, 2, a 3, 4, 5, and 6. So as you see it, I'm kind of counting the accent on the 3. So I can remove that triple. Now the neat thing about it, circling back to that led versus not led question, because all of this can be led, all of this can be done individually, right? As long as we're preserving the basics of the pattern, which is the way I like to teach, right? Because I figure as long as we preserve the basics of the pattern, we've taught you a lot of different ideas. As you start to grow from that point, and you will be able to protect the basic fundamentals and the critical timing of the pattern and find your own way, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could be Mr. Beginner doing my basic sugar push, right? Or you could be Miss Beginner, right? And I could be doing my whatever. Cool? So that's raise. Oh, 2 questions.
So the first one, can you explain a little bit more about what causes it to not be a problem if one person does it and the other doesn't?
Great. The question is, what causes it to not be a problem when one person chooses a styling option and the other person doesn't? If we look at the basics, what are the rules of a sugar push? And every pattern has a set of rules, right? Number 1, we're connected away. On count 2, 1, 2, Megan's going to move towards me, right? And one of my coaches did this to me one day, and he said, and you guys see if you can see what I'm doing wrong. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. Can anyone catch it? I know we're on a delay. So I'm going to preempt it. Not even that. I was stepping back with my right foot instead of my left. I danced on the follower's footwork. But what I did was I preserved the fact, I'm dancing this on the wrong footwork. 1, 2. The rule is on count 2, I stop my partner, right? It doesn't matter if I'm on the wrong foot, if I'm leaving something out, if I'm raising, if I'm lowering, I'm stopping my partner on count 2, right? Megan's coming towards me. Her rule is to come towards me and run into a connection if it's presented, right? It doesn't matter to me if she hitches on the way to get there. 1, 2, she's connected. 3, and 4, 5, and 6. Does that make sense? And we can take that the same way moving back. We go 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's her job to get back on 4, fill out the connection, right? And to me, it's a sugar push. Life is good. If she removes the 3 and, 1, 2, 3, and 4, we're still in the same position. For that matter, she could have flipped everything around, been on the wrong foot. 4, right? And then gone 5, 6, and changed her footwork altogether, but she has preserved the pattern. Does that make sense? And each pattern will have a rule like that. We got another question.
Yes. And this will go into lowering as well, but how do you raise without affecting your partner on the height changes?
Good. How do you raise or lower, I would assume, without affecting your partner? Good question. Yeah. So and this kind of goes into some other stuff we cover in our styling course, because as we develop different kinds of styling, I want to leave this here for the partnership. So as I choose to do things, I want to leave that in the same position, right? As I choose to change my levels, I want to leave that in the same position. Does that make sense? Same thing here. Megan can do all sorts of stuff around that, and we'll even do this kind of back to the camera. Like you'll see her, she can move all the way around, but the reason why she doesn't affect me is because this stays in the same spot, right? Now as we get to like something that's a little bit led, and this can be led or encouraged from the leader's perspective or led or encouraged from the follower's perspective, as I make subtle differences in the change of that hand, right, preferably with my body, because my theory is it comes from my feet and legs and translates through my arm into my hand into my partner, right? So as I make subtle differences, now if I just did it with the arm, she's got nothing to react to, right? If I do it with my base, she can react, because I was taught early on my arm can move much faster than my body can. Cool? Awesome. Yes, those are great, great questions. So raise, lower, syncopate, remove. What else do we have? The anchor step. So the anchor step, we can 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? We're connected, so even with this connection, Megan might feel my action going up. 1, 2, 3, and 4. She's connected, and so we can move up and boom. And she even left out his footwork there. That's cool.
I didn't.
You barely did it. Right? We can lower 1, 2, 3, and 4. And right here, she's going to feel that through my standing leg as I drop into my anchor. That's a good option. Very common these days. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're connected. And you can see already I can feel what's going on with her body. It might make me want to do something. Cool. We can syncopate. That's a weird one on the anchor. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, 6. That'd be a syncopation option, which happens actually quite a bit, because there's little, especially for me actually, when I'm dancing with a newer dancer, I will want to accent the music, but I want to lead patterns that are appropriate for the person. So I'm leading more basic patterns, and I'll have to hit the accents with my feet. So that'd be a syncopation, and then a remove. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. Anything that's removing that, we'll go the other way so they can see. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So anything that becomes a ronde, anything that just becomes a remove the triple step would give me a different style for my anchor. I sense a question. No question. Cool. Miss Emily, do you want to hop in and bring some styling options? So she's going to pick a styling option. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm going to be Mr. Basic, and then you guys are going to see if you can figure out which of these raise, lower, syncopate, and remove she's doing, and where it's happening in the pattern. We're going to do it 4 times. Are you freaked out?
Do I have to do the same thing each time?
Yes.
Oh gosh. I'm notorious for changing what I do every time I dance, so bear with me.
Great social dancing, not good when you're doing a routine. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. Well, now we can't do it again because you changed all sorts of stuff for me. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. What's she doing? Messing me up, not a bit. Not a bit, not a bit, right? Because I took that's why I did this. This is surprising for me, and I know all of her stuff, right? So what happened was 1, 2, sure, I danced with you. I just led that one. You didn't do that one. So we talked about before, led versus not led, right? We went 1, 2. That's what I expected. She said, forget this hand. I have good arm lines, right? And she did her little hook behind, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. So this is kind of good that you jumped in with this one. Because one of the things that we, 30 minutes, you could talk forever on this. One of the main things we could do, aside of raise, lower, syncopate, remove, is create angle. So can you talk a little bit about what's going on about your angle and why you choose to change the hand and all that jazz?
Yes, so a lot of the time the leader does give me the angle. If there's something in the music that I feel, and perhaps the leader doesn't, I tend to somewhat take over, but still stay within my restraints of timing, if you will.
Can we first define the angle? So what we mean by angle,
So
1, 2 would be very basic, right?
yes.
If she starts to change the angle of that, right? And let's just say I leave that there. She just changes the angle within her own body, right? She leaves that there. Not enough that I feel, but not enough that she affects me, right? She's not changing it for me. I'm just feeling the angle change, right? So we go 1, 2. She wants to change the angle. Off you go. Make sense?
Yeah.
So can you describe what's going on there?
To me.
Can you describe what's going on there for you?
So let's get to 2 and stop. We have 1, 2. Assuming that the leader has actually given you this hand, I am going to create a cross behind, which also allows my left side to be more forward than my right. So from here, we have the 3 and 4. I can take a big step or not, depends on how you feel, and most of the time it depends on the music that I'm hearing as well. So from here, even if we have the 1, 2, 2, from here, I'm creating a little bit more of a rotation. I'm opening up my right side for 3 and 4, and then I square back up for 5 and 6. You don't have to. You can do a different type of anchor, but usually if I've angled before that, I'm going to square back up and not freak my partner out.
And we came back to the question of like, is it lead or not lead? That for me, right, if I have a partner that does this, boom, and I can start to feel that angle happen within her body. This hand stays still, but I can feel the angle happen, and my body might create the same type of angle. Boom, right? It doesn't have to be that way, but if I create that type of angle, I can use the same angle myself. So leaders, there's a couple of different options, right? I can cut back, and again, it can start with this hand. It doesn't have to start with the other hand, but 1, 2, right? Maybe I have already preempted an angle, right? And so at this point, it's going to leave this path open, and as I feel Emily's body go there, I'm actually kind of following her energy, anchor step, right? Let's say I didn't preempt the angle and I was caught off guard. 1, 2, right? There's no space for me to really cut across, but I start to feel the angle. I have to go behind, but I still get the angle. My foot goes in a different place, but I get an angle to my body, and look at that, we're still anchored, whether we have this hand or the other. Cool? Let's try another one. Ooh, I like that one. I teach that a lot.
I know.
So what's going on there? She's not changing a darn thing with the walk, walk, triple, triple. Not a thing about the timing. Not even a thing about the level. She's going right off my reader board that's off camera for me to remember all the parts that I want to cover.
No, I didn't want to freak you out again, so I did want
But,
to be comfortable with it.
yeah, but what's great, because we teach this a lot, the angles, right? And I'm glad you said that, because that was it's somewhere on that reader board.
Angles,
Angles.
rock.
Yeah, angles, right? So what's happening here, we're changing an angle as she goes back on count 4. So not even the 3 end, but the angle's changed on the 4, which then lets her go in front 5 and 6. So can you talk about that footwork, and then I'll narrate the leader's footwork.
Yes, so I am still putting my left side forward, but in a different direction. I'm still doing my 1, 2 forward. We have 1, 2, but I'm actually going to cross straight in this track and not go on an angle off. From here, I'm staying on the track and stepping away, still keeping the timing, and then I cross my left foot for 5 and 6.
And can you do that forward to the camera for 2 reasons. Number one, that Michael set up really well, but you can also, I'm going to get out of the way.
Yes, so from here, I'm staying in the track. I'm not thinking angle towards my partner, not angle as in a crisscross. So from here, 1, 2, I'm profile to my partner for 3 and 4. I step away. Now my left foot is going to cross in front for 5 and 6.
And so leaders, like again, if we go back to that angle so you can kind of see how it matches this way, right? So as we go back 1, 2, either I might start to lead this angle and let Emily go into it, or I might feel that angle being created by her and step into that angle. Right now, once we're here, I got options, right? We can cross in front and her behind. We can even go this way. It doesn't matter, but we go 3, and now when she takes that, there's still an angle here, right? And because there's an angle, there's space in front of her to go in front. So if we did that this way, give you a different look, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? Either I could keep that angle with her and return, right? Or 1, 2, 3, and 4, I could actually go in front with her and return. Beautiful. And if you have long legs and cool red shoes, I have normal legs
and red shoes
and cool red shoes. We have a question.
You keep talking about feeling the angle from the follower, but what does that mean?
Oh, I keep talking about feeling the angle from the follower, and what does that mean? So if we put this here, right, this connection right here, there's a lot that I communicate. We communicate through this. Like number 1, we've learned day 1, away and towards, right? We've learned that. But even within this, you can start to feel if I'm taking the right side away a little bit further or the left side away a little bit further. So even though the hands stay in a very similar position, right, you can start to feel changes within it. Now, it's not an easy skill, but much the same way as basic connection, which lets us all dance, is not a natural skill. That's like another level of that. So when I'm feeling that, and again, my theory is what happens through my feet and legs, right? That hand is not moving. I'm not moving Emily into that. right? That's what happens. And if you do this, too much of this, you're actually leading a cartwheel. Leaders who you do this is old school, we used to do this. Boom, 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 we go boom, boom, boom. That's actually a cartwheel, if she's following, right? So when I'm talking about feeling the angle, 1, 2, in the space of time on the 2, right? There's amount of time. 2, E, and We're not standing still. 2, E, and As our bodies are moving within that, I can feel it through the connection, right? Now this is happening really fast, right? 100 beats a minute, 110 beats a minute. So the amount of time that you're on that foot is a really small amount of time. So we have to get really good at it, which is why our teachers bug us about forward and back connection and master, and that's why they make you do 6,000 sugar pushes. You're a professional dancer, and the teacher goes, let me see your sugar push. But it's because these fundamental, because there's my basic sugar push connection, right? But this is my workspace to understand as my body starts to move within it, and then how I'm gonna communicate different things. Does that make sense? Hopefully that answers your question. I wish I had an easy answer, but it's that space and time between your basic sugar push connection and what's going on in your body or your partner's body that you'll start to feel the angle, right? Anything else to add?
I also pay attention to my partner's shoulders. So even if they're not leading me, perhaps they are newer or perhaps you're not used to dancing with them, I pay a lot of attention to where their shoulders are because I try to stay as even or parallel with them as possible. So even if I'm doing this, 1, 2, he may not be rotating, but if he feels this, I'm gonna rotate into that and we are still in sort of a parallelogram. If he does something that I'm not used to,
Just trying to get the mic close to you.
oh, do something I'm not used to. I'm still, again, staying in a parallelogram and trying to stay as parallel as possible with his shoulders.
And Megan, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Megan, you follow the leader's shoulders a lot in patterns, right? So you can start to, it becomes unconscious at a certain point. I'm sure you're not thinking straight about it, but if you start to develop a sense, Megan and I dance really well not touching because we have you call it the force, right? Because we're using the ability of watching the other person.
I'm not good at the force.
Yeah, so you can see it's a skill set developed within, but if you have some ability to sense what's going on with your partner, that'll be an unconscious clue that can help. They're peeking at the screen, so there must be something cool going on. Nope. What's that?
She's just talking.
We're just talking. Okay, there's nothing interesting going on. So to recap, I want you to look at each 2-beat increment, right? What can you do on the walk? And there's a million things, right? So if you pick up a stylized walk, right, you can implement that during the 1-2, whatever you want to do, right? So there's a million different things. You could take a footwork video and do things footwork-wise on the 1-2. Now, how does that not mess up your partner? Because you're still walking 1-2. 1-2, and you're running into that connection. It doesn't matter how you get there, right? It doesn't matter if it's a hitch. It doesn't matter if it's something with the feet. It doesn't matter if it's something with the feet in an angle. You're just layering on. But what can I do on the 1-2? Second, what can you do in the 3 and 4? I actually I'm glad you brought up the angles right away, because that's a big thing on the 3 and 4, right? We, of course, can raise. Miss Emily, she couldn't help but follow, right? And then we can lower, but then we can lower with angles. Some of us lower than others because they're younger and more flexible. I used to be flexible.
You're still flexible.
I had that picture of me in the dead split looking cool. Ugh.
You're still there.
Not so much. No, I'm
Okay,
still.
maybe not splits. You're still flexible.
Yeah. So, and then of course the easy one, and we didn't really mess with this too much because we put out a bunch of videos on this, but obviously my anchor step is an easy one to style, right? I can raise, lower, syncopate, remove, but that's an easy one. And how do I not mess up my partner? I leave this there, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, right? We leave this there, and that way you are not messing up your partner, so Emily can do what she wants to do, I can do what I want to do. It's a whole nother discussion when we're going to lead it, right? Just to give you some fun stuff, right? We could go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we can move this hand to create something else, right?
We did that in our anchor styling class.
Oh, did you? The anchor styling class.
One of
So,
the 8.
anyways, if we don't have any more questions, we are going to try to put out about the next month's schedule here soon. So on West Coast Swing Online /live, we're going to try to put out a month's worth of schedule. We kind of paid attention to what people were interacting with. We still want to acknowledge some of the other dances and stuff that are going to live on the website. So if you guys do cha-cha and nightclub and two-step and waltz and East Coast Swing, we have tons of those videos that are landing on the website. You can access that through westcoastswingonline.com or countrydanceonline.com. Drive through, get a free membership. Anyways, we get tons of stuff there. Some of this content, we're going to have some really cool in-depth videos like this that really dive into a subject. So we've got a bunch of those. Another video we're looking to add once a week is one video to answer all your questions. So I love that you guys have questions, and I love that you're sending us emails. Please continue. And I really do want to answer them all. And we do answer them all, but there's so many videos to shoot. We're going to try to collect them into one Q&A. So if you send us a question on a video, we're going to collect those. We'll shoot a live video just to run through those questions, and we'll post it. So if you've sent us in something while we're in lockdown, we will go ahead and try to get that on video for you, get you an answer, give you something to look forward to. Other fun things, let's talk about, what do you have going on?
Tomorrow we have the Q&A.
T-shirts.
I know.
Okay, sorry.
You asked. Tomorrow we have more choreography for you, so it's going to be super cool. And we have a Q&A with everyone. I know it says ladies, but it's going to be all 3 of us. And then we have a super sale. I guess you could call it an Easter sale if you wanted to. But it is 10% off from today until the 12th, so until Sunday. It's 10% off. The promo code is ANCHOR, and you will put that in at the checkout. We've got tons of
Where do they get the T-shirts?
In the link below.
In the description below any of our videos, there is a cool store that Emily's curated of West Coast Swing related and dance related shirts, bags, all sorts of stuff. Ben's dropped a link in there, yeah? Whatever, it's going to be there.
Earlier.
Below the video, yeah, it'll be there or in the description below. So Emily's got the promo code, wait, don't tell me. ANCHOR, I remember.
Yay!
Super cool. I think that's it. Any other questions? I look forward to hanging out with you guys tomorrow night at the Q&A. That's super exciting. We usually go, gosh, it goes about an hour. So bring your questions. If you've got one, shoot it in early, because as we get going, they fill up fast, and then we kind of get behind, so I can see the questions building up, and I want to get to them. So if you come in early, usually the first 10 or 20 minutes is more slow going. So if you don't want to hear about what's going on with us here in Louisville, nothing.
Dancing.
Yeah.
Classes, videos.
Lots of videos. And the microbrewery next door, they've been selling beer because they can't be open out of their garage door, because you can have delivery. So it's called Holsopple, named after his wife's maiden name. It's pretty cool. His father-in-law, they have Bob's Pilsner, named after Bob, his father-in-law. Did you know that? Paul's Pilsner. Paul is Pilsner, is it?
Bob's Blessing.
Bob's Blessing, whatever it is. But anyways, they have run themselves out of freaking cans. They've sold so many cans of beer. They call them crowlers, these big, that they've run themselves out of cans. So we're all doing what we can do as small businesses, but we're going to try to keep you guys happy. So we're signing off. We'll see you again tomorrow night.